To all the curse breakers, to all the generational curse breakers, to those who know that they have been chosen, to the black sheeps, to the lone wolves, to the ones that sometimes feel like giving up. I have a message for you. When you feel like giving up, that is a sign that your breakthrough is available to you. When you feel like breaking down, that is a sign that everything you have done is working for you. When you feel alienated, alone, and misunderstood, that is a sign that you have been putting in the work. Let me explain. True curse breakers oftentimes are alienated, misunderstood, and blamed for everything that goes wrong. And this can be very confusing to people who are highly sensitive souls that feel energy, that feel empathy on a deep level, even feeling empathy towards people who are hurting you. And it seems as if you can't stop feeling empathy for them, and it can be frustrating. Why am I giving a fuck about people who do not give a fuck about me? Why can't I let it go? Why am I thinking about what they said about me and to me over and over again? Why? What is happening? Why do I feel drained? Why does the presence of some people impact me the way that it does? Why do I feel as if everybody is wearing masks around me and I am the only one that can see through the mask? I get it. The 3D matrix is a system of constructs that programmed us to go along to get along, to assimilate, to not break the code, to not step outside of the paradigm that we were conditioned to be in. I get it. But let me tell you something, and I speak from experience. I am someone who not only went through every form of trauma you can think of, from family trauma, sexual trauma, medical trauma, and throughout my entire life, I can honestly say I've been far from perfect. I am not an angel, but I have been one loyal, one ride or die, one I will stick with you until the wheels fall off kind of person ever since I landed on this planet. And no matter how good I was to people, no matter how much of myself I sacrificed for people, it was never reciprocated. And I could not figure out why. So I thought I just need to do better. I need to do more. I need to figure out what it's going to take to please them. I have to figure out what am I doing that upsets them and avoid doing that. And these types of thoughts are established when we are babies. The 3D matrix set the system up to teach physicians, to teach parents to let their babies cry all alone in a bed, nowhere near you, creating abandonment wounds before we could even speak. What kind of person believes that a little baby who can't communicate its needs clearly is best suited to cry it out? Many of us were the babies that cried it out. Many of us were the parents who continue with that pattern. And now we are feeling the impact of that. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you were a baby with unmet needs, your tears, screaming, crying, if it did not ever lead to your needs being met, or it rarely led to your needs being met, very early on, you learn to suppress my needs, to not make them known, to not be a burden. No one is coming to help me anyway. Suck it up. And as babies, we were programmed by the 3D matrix to suck it up. Do y'all hear me? So if you have been feeling more sensitive lately, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you cannot go back to sleep, if you're sleeping a lot because you just don't want to face life, I want to encourage you and let you know you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Don't let the 3D matrix, social media fool you. These so-called influencers, they are usually not living the life that they show to us. Don't let the Joneses make you feel like something is wrong with you and everything is right with them. I want you to shift your perception to go within. Learn how to speak to that baby inside of you that had to cry it out. Learn how to soothe the pain of abandonment, neglect, abuse, and rejection. I'll never forget, a nurse told me, if you continue to pick your baby up every time your baby cries, your baby is going to be spoiled, and your baby will always expect for you to be there for them when something is wrong. And I looked at this lady, and her energy showed me that she was just following orders, a NPC, a non-person character following orders. It wasn't personal. But I'll never forget, my instincts said, bring me my baby. If you don't want to deal with her, put her in the room with me. And this is when I began to learn what the 3D matrix really is. What was that movie really about? So I want to let you know, you are not weak because you get depressed. You are not weak because you feel alone, even if you're in a room full of people. There is nothing wrong with you. It's something wrong with the system that conditioned us. We must decondition our minds, unlearn and relearn. This is what's happening right now. We're having solar flares from the sun. We had an 8 just the other day, one of the highest X flares to date. We are electromagnetic beings. Our mind is electric. Our heart is magnetic. So many of us had to guard our hearts just to get through life without breaking down. And now the heart is saying, I need you to listen to me. In the middle of the word heart is ear, because the way the heart interprets what's happening to you is nothing like the way the mind is interpreting what you are experiencing. The 3D matrix is falling apart, but it doesn't want to die. It is sentient, meaning it has consciousness. Within the 3D matrix are entities within the non-physical realm that need humans to suffer so that they can feed. Our suffering is their buffet. They feed on it. They're parasites. You incarnated to shake things up. You came to find the patterns that were dysfunctional and learn how to get in touch with your authentic self so that you could rise above the prison cell that is invisible, that so many of us were forced to live in. So many of us are living in invisible prisons right now. But as the soul is being catalyzed, you're starting to feel the limitation. You're starting to feel the restrictions. You're starting to feel the areas where you are not living. You're starting to notice the way that you treat yourself that is less than loving. And once you begin to notice that, you also notice people, places, and things outside of you that are no longer in alignment with who you are becoming. The way we respond to our pain determines the power of our purpose. The way we react to triggers determines our reality. The people in our lives that trigger us are gifts to us to help us break up with the codependency that the collective has been programmed to operate within. So many of us would be able to wipe away eons of karma by being able to detach from other people's drama. Let me say that again. So many of us would be able to clear eons of trauma by detaching from other people's drama. When the 3D matrix starts to lose its food supply, it will use anybody who is a vibrational match to negativity to pull you back. Having an ego death oftentimes involves a sense of not knowing who you are, not knowing where you're going, unsure as to where you would best be suited to invest your time, your money, and your energy. It is within this void, this liminal space, where you have outgrown everything in your present reality, but you have not yet been able to attain that which you desire. Learning how to hold space for yourself. When you're looking at the reality that was created by the old you, yet you're visualizing and desiring the reality that will be created by the new you, standing in that space, it's a very bipolar space to stand in. The energies seem to not match up with what's happening in the external reality. This can cause internal conflict, cognitive dissonance, where your mind cannot make sense of it. And this is the moment where you begin to accept the fact that maybe some of the things I have been loyal and committed to are no longer loyal and committed to me. And it is time for me to let the cards fall where they may. This is not the time to try to control other people. They will react in a very angry way. They will become spiteful, bitter, resentful, and jealous. And maybe you are feeling some of these things. But because these emotions have been demonized so much, especially in the community of curse breakers, we try to avoid these emotions, which only delays the destination that we are destined to reach. And this creates frustration. This leads to us being easily irritated by every little thing, because deep down inside we know that we are worth more than what reality is showing us. And this is when you must detach your perception from what you see. Detach the meaning that you assign to what you see if it is not serving your highest purpose. Stop giving so much meaning to people who have narcissistic traits in your life. They are a gift to you. How else would you learn to validate, reassure, defend, and protect the work you are doing on yourself unless you had people in your reality who did not respect you? Disrespect is a gift. Envy and jealousy is a gift, because it is the only way we can identify what it is we do not want in our reality. We are so stubborn and we are strong-willed because within our DNA imprint, before this incarnation, we made a soul contract agreeing to be curse breakers. So I want you to practice the PRP strategy that I've been teaching, the positive reframe practice. Practice seeing things from a perspective that benefits you. The next time someone says something to you critical or hurtful, remind yourself that everything outside of you is a mirror to a compartmentalized version of you created by your experiences. And it is simply a notification letting you know it's time to heal this. And when you begin to protect your power, to not allow your energy to be siphoned by situations, your confidence level increases, your intuition increases, because you begin to rely and trust yourself. The new earth will not be populated by people who cannot trust themselves. The new earth will be populated by people who trust their own perception, the higher perception. Despite what reality is showing you, you must let reality know you can't boss me around no more. See, spiritual people cannot transform unless we experience something that is so opposite of who we authentically are. And it is at this point where you start to have so much appreciation for the things that hurt you, to the point where the people who once was able to feed off of your energy of pain, of grief, of crying, of suffering, they will begin to dissipate from your life. They will not have interest in being around you anymore. It is the meaning you assign to what's happening in your reality that creates the cloak around you. This is an invisibility cloak. People who are stuck in the lower vibrational frequencies and are not yet ready to ascend will not feel nourished by you anymore. You must starve people by removing your attention. You must begin to see the vibrational implications of people opting you into drama triangles. The Cartman model is a drama triangle where all human beings are reenacting traumas because we're trying to figure it out. Within our Akashic records, in the soul contract, we sat down at the table and agreed, in this lifetime, I will be the scapegoat and you will be the narcissist. And I will learn what I didn't learn in the last life when I was the narcissist and you were the scapegoat. See, our memory being wiped about our past lives wasn't just a negative thing. It was positive as well, because a lot of us would be overwhelmed if we remembered how despicable we have been in the past. Every human being that descends to earth comes here to experience what we would call hell so that we could learn to be alchemists and create heaven on earth. These are not locations. These are transmutations that we create from experiences. I have received so many emails, so many messages from people saying, Khamsin, I don't know what's happening. It seems like my world is falling apart. Things are not going the way that I hope for. No matter how much planning I do, something is always interfering with my plans. People around me are seeming to be getting more and more unstable. People that I thought really, really loved me are the ones that are hurting me. If y'all go back to some of the videos that haven't been removed, because so many have been removed, but there are a lot of them that have not. If you go back in 2022, as soon as I came out of surgery, maybe it was 3 or 4 days after surgery, I did a video explaining dark matter and the way it impacts emotions. I explained that the primordial existence from which we all originate is reawakening in us. It's a very primal energy that's built around surviving, the instinct to survive. And for people who have eumelanin, neuromelanin in higher amounts, The reason people like Bobby Hemmett called us chaos beings isn't because we have intentions of harm. It's because we have what's called high levels of dark matter energy that's within us. When you combine dark matter energy that is natural with dark matter energy that has been artificially synthesized and weaponized to keep us in a state of mind that feeds the archonic entities that need humans to suffer to survive. That's how the 3D matrix stays alive. Now, there are some things that I am not going to take a risk and say here. As you all know, because of the removal of so much of my content, those conversations are reserved for my NVIPs on Patreon, and that group is currently still open on every tier. I'm posting information where I go into deep detail into what's actually happening on a metaphysical, molecular level. Because if we continue to only deal with the surface, if we're only cutting weeds and not pulling them up from the roots, they're going to continue to pop up. And a lot of us got weeds in our own minds. And the weeds in our life externally are just mirroring back to us the weeds that's in the garden of our mind that needs to be tended to. You see, because a lot of us are not people who study agriculture, horticulture, herbalists, botanists, this was something that a lot of our ancestors was a part of, whether it was forced or not. Because we have been separated from this, it can sometimes be difficult to understand the seasons of sowing and the season of harvest and how to tend to your crops in between. We're in an in-between space. How are you tending to your crops? How are you treating yourself? How are you talking to yourself? I want you to pull yourself away from how people talk to you and focus more on how do I talk to myself. 9 times out of 10, the way that your inner dialogue has been conditioned to treat yourself is also how people are treating you. We may be having some challenges, and we may be feeling more disconnected and alone than ever before, but I want you to know this ascension cannot be stopped. Many of us are learning about herbs. We are feeling the call to learn how to heal ourselves. We're feeling the call to grow our own food. We're feeling the call to have more plants in our home, to spend time in nature. We're feeling the call to communicate with our ancestors and our spirit guides. Please do not ignore these calls. And I know that some of the things that you are being called to do may seem to directly conflict everything you have been conditioned to believe. When you are really doing shadow work, anything in your life that was established in an illusion is going to fall apart. Certain relationships that you thought would never end, they will end when it's time. I wasn't going to do this, and I haven't done this in a really long time because there's something that I see happening in the collective consciousness in the spiritual community that has really been tough for me to witness. So many people are taking advantage of people's pain because the economy is unstable and we're really in a Great Depression, in my opinion. Even worse than the Great Depression, because in the Great Depression, at least we didn't know how bad things like too much starch in potatoes fried in vegetable oil was for us. We didn't know. So there was a level of comfort within the ignorance that created a sense of bliss in the Great Depression. But see, that's a luxury that we can no longer afford. So a lot of us have learned about things that are toxic to us, and this makes it sometimes more difficult to face life in reality because soul food was not actually feeding the soul. It was just something that we innovatively thought of to keep us alive. It wasn't meant for us to thrive. It wasn't meant to give us good health because your health is your wealth. I want you to look at the irony of the 3D matrix. Soul food is a great example of what's happening with the alchemy of our souls. Something that once helped us to survive, something that kept our ancestors alive, something that was created from things that were thrown in the trash. It kept us alive. And we were so genius indigenous that we figured out a way to make it taste good. For that period of time, that was the tool that we created to survive. But see, when you know better, you do better. Some of the innovations that our ancestors came up with because of the situation that they were in, its use has expired and it's no longer serving us. And it actually has sent a lot of people to their graves early. So maybe in that time it was food for the soul. But now we know the impact of eating those things. And this is exactly what's happening with your soul. Your soul is saying to you, that kept you alive. Now it's time for you to learn how to thrive. What have you been using to help you cope and keep you alive that has reached an expiration date? Everything in the physical realm is a mirror reflection of the spiritual unseen realm. If foods in a grocery store have an expiration date, so does our coping mechanisms. So does certain relationships. So does certain careers. I know a lot of y'all are thinking about new careers. I know a lot of y'all are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs and walking away from working for other people because you don't feel appreciated. You don't feel like you're reaching your highest potential. You don't feel like where you're dedicating your time is actually in alignment with your purpose. This is the void space that I'm talking about. On the new earth, we will have more food places that actually have real food with high frequencies that will support this higher consciousness that we are being offered. But right now, 99% of the places that have food don't have real food. Most of these places have chemicals masquerading as food. A lot of these places are using ingredients that actually are neurotoxins to the mind. Listen to the word neurotoxin. So this is a poison going into our neurological systems. And God has blessed those that raised us. They didn't know. We grew up on this. No one knew that brain damage was something that could actually be an impact of certain chemicals. So there is a discomfort that we must learn how to accept so that we can continue to evolve. For those of us who have developed allergies, health issues, loss of appetite, why is that happening? For those of us that notice that foods we used to eat now upset our stomach, even foods that are on Dr. Sabi's food list, it's like, I can't even eat this anymore. That alone can be overwhelming. Why is that happening? It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because what you need to sustain your ability to step onto your dharmic timeline, away from your karmic timeline, so that you are walking a purposeful path in line with your soul, you require a different type of fuel. Now, you could try to take a new car and put the lowest grade gasoline in it, but eventually your vehicle is going to break down. I thought that the allergies and the issues and the digestive issues and the headaches and so many things was happening, and it almost made me feel as if something was wrong with me, because I felt like I should be able to change my mindset, use affirmations to make this go away, right? I'm a manifestor of my reality. I am a co-creator of everything happening. And I tried so hard to use my mind to change these things. And one day my soul said to me, I'm not trying to point out something that's wrong with you. I'm showing you that your energy is becoming pristine, and what once was enough to sustain you is no more. It's an alert system. It's the body's notifications letting you know it's time to make adjustments. With these solar flares, a lot of us are going to be eating less or eating lighter, not wanting to feel full. That thing that we call itis, that's not normal. Eating does use a lot of energy in the body to digest what we ate. But what we call itis, and y'all know what I'm talking about, and the symptoms that it causes, that's not normal. That's something that is draining your life force energy. And we're seeing the impact of that now. I know it's tough, but I am telling you, if you just hang in there, if you validate yourself more often than you criticize yourself, if you let yourself know it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not have it all together. It's okay that I keep missing appointments, meetings, job opportunities. It's okay. It's okay that I don't even have the energy to get up and clean my house like I want to. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. What needs to get done will eventually get done. I'm just going to do the best I can. A lot of us have people in our life that put pressure on us because we haven't realized how much pressure we put on ourselves. So we needed someone to be an exhibit, exhibit A, to show you how you treat yourself on a subconscious level. This is when you start to thank people, and it is going to confuse the hell out of them. The next time somebody wrongly accuses you of something, thank them. Thank Thank you. Thank you for blaming me for this. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. They're going to look at you. This is when you learn how to be the students who were bending spoons with the Oracle in the Matrix documentary. Because you're witnessing a situation that seems hard and immovable, rigid and cold, just like a spoon. And a spoon is a tool used to feed. So, this is when you start to change your energetic diet. You start to change the synergy. You stop trying to get people to treat you better. hmm You stop believing that you're supposed to treat people how you want to be treated. Mm-mm. That's a 3D matrix form of sorcery to keep us being martyrs and sacrificial lambs for the 3D matrix to stay alive and keep its supply. Thank people. In the beginning, it may not feel like you're being authentic. You may feel like you're being an imposter, and they may accuse you of being sarcastic. They may accuse you of being a bitch, an asshole. Why would you thank me? Why would you thank me? And I'm criticizing you about what you did. I'm blaming you for something. Why would you? They would even get angry with you for appreciating them. See, the way that I teach allows people to reclaim the energy that they have allowed others to siphon from them. And this is one of the main differences between the strategies that I share and a lot of other strategies that I see. You don't treat people how you want to be treated. You treat yourself how you want to be treated. And you treat people in a way that will hold on to the power that's within you. And I know that a lot of us have been rubbed the wrong way so much for so long that it probably seems impossible to get to the point where you actually have gangster gratitude for the shit that hurt you. I am proof. I make it a point to stand on integrity and practice what I teach. It can be done, but the PRP is a positive reframe practice. So you will not get this overnight. It is a gradual growth. And I know a lot of us feel like I should have been there by now. I should have been at this position in life by now. I should have. Don't should all over yourself. And don't allow other people to should all over you. Okay? Recognize that other people's shit is their shit. It's theirs. Other people's problems with you, it's theirs. And they will either figure out a way to work it out or they won't. But you do not have to be in a position of powerlessness and being victimized. And so many highly sensitive souls and empaths, this is the experience, and it can be confusing because deep inside, you feel like you're one of the most powerful people walking this planet, but your interactions may not be mirroring that back to you. See, the 3D matrix is a liar. In religion, what we used to call the devil was really the program of the 3D matrix and the people that uphold the program. It's not personal. It's a spiritual sickness. The 3D matrix will never affirm you. The 3D matrix will never validate you and reassure you. The 3D matrix wants you to doubt yourself. The 3D matrix needs you to not trust yourself. So I am not saying to allow people to do whatever they want to do to you and to just smile and take it. I'm saying pick and choose your battles wisely. If people in your life have shown you their colors, believe them. It's no need to judge them. If they show you envy, believe that envy is a system they're operating in. If they don't celebrate your wins with you, stop sharing your wins with them. In the spiritual community, so many of us came from so much trauma and pain. We were elated in the beginning and we were hoping to have a 180-degree different experience. And so it hurts more after you start the ascension process to re-experience trauma reenactments, because that's the last thing that you were expecting to experience. And if you base it off of these millions of spiritual gurus that are just popping up every day, and it's so ironic, their channels always have these huge, crazy numbers. And that alone can cause people to believe the hype of whatever is being taught, because it's like a million other people subscribe to this. Look at that, 4,000 people like this. 3,000 people commented. This must be the way. But there is no one way. There is no one way to illumination. There are many ways, many paths. Very soon, we're going to see a lot of spiritual influencers show who they really are. And because a lot of people are operating out of the fear of the chaos that we see unfolded in the world, a lot of people have abandoned the integrity they once stood on because they're in survival mode. So people may charge $400, $500, $600, $700 to do a reading, and I am not saying it's anything wrong with charging what you feel that you are worth for your services. But a lot of people are not doing it out of integrity. They're doing it out of fear of not having enough with everything happening in the world. Rent has increased 5 to 10 times as much as it was, depending on what source you use, prior to the pandemic. That one thing alone caused a lot of people to stop standing on integrity. And I get it, because survival, again, is a characteristic of any sentient being. And sometimes people can come back from this and sometimes they don't. But be careful about who you allow in your energy. Be careful about what you're allowing in your ear gates and your eye gates. Be careful about who you share information with. Be more careful about what information you like, subscribe to, comment. These things create soul contracts. Just hitting like on something that you really didn't sit with to see, does this really resonate with me? Now you have created a contract where your vibrational frequency is now going to be determined by whatever stream of consciousness is coming through that particular person or teaching. So this is why you want to take your time with that. Sit on things. For those of us who are manifesting generators within the human design, one of the best things that we can do is sleep on things before we make a final decision. And this is why I've been recommending, just as I recommended you learn your galactic heritage using your galactic signature, now you want to learn your human design so that you can see what's in your Akashic record. Everybody's chakras are not set up the same way. And we're going to start to see the impact of a lot of things that have been taught. And even some things that I taught at one point, my perception has changed. So the content on my channel has shifted. I'm not talking as much about how to use rituals and ceremonies to remove hexes and curses. I use those things. That's a part of my daily life as a spiritual practitioner. But the reason I stopped talking about it so much was because of what I saw happening. So many of us, because of the amount of pain we have had to absorb and push down and pretend like it wasn't affecting us, so many of us fell into spiritual bypassing. So in the past, recommending a love spell for somebody having difficulties in their relationship, that was useful in the past. But for a lot of us now, that's not going to get to the root. Getting to the root is, why did I manifest this person? What is it that I'm meant to learn from this person? Is this a trauma bond? Is this a karmic relationship? Is this a twin flame? Meaning someone who embodies my shadow characteristics? Or is this my soulmate? We can't use band-aids anymore, and that's beautiful. Truly spiritual people are not being allowed to use band-aids. The band-aids being ripped off. That's why we feel uncomfortable. And it can be frustrating because sometimes it seems like people in your life and people around you, you are observing, seem like they're going through life just fine. And you can wonder, like, why? What am I doing wrong? Why am I so uncomfortable with life? Why am I not content? Transformation never happens in the comfort zone. So, have I used any form of some of the things that I taught to help relationships on a spiritual level? Absolutely. But I'm no longer only relying on that. Truth be told, so many people in the spiritual community have become victims to people who are not standing on integrity. And there may be evil eye energy surrounding you because of who you allow to step into your story. That can be removed energetically. But the follow up is to excavate what's inside of you that caused you to be a vibrational match for that experience, and what lesson are you supposed to learn from that. A lot of people who was doing love spells, like when we were at the height of this ascension process, and there are themes each year based on the numerological significance of each year. And so there are a lot of people who really wanted to be loved and really wanted things to work out. And they did love spells. And now they're in a situation where maybe they don't want to be with the person anymore, but the person is very attached to them and won't let go. Maybe the person is attached to them and won't let go. And in the same token, this person is not a vibrational match anymore. They're not capable of meeting you where you are. People can't give something to you that hasn't been cultivated within themselves. So in this case, I recommend to my clients that you do a cleansing, and you must take this serious. Cord cutting is not one cute meditation that you listen to and it's done. Cord cutting is something that I teach in stages. And so the best thing to do, whether you've done a love spell or not, let's just say you hyper focused on what was wrong in a relationship. Okay, our thoughts create thought forms. Our words create what we experience. So it's safe to say that every single thing in this world is some form of spell, sorcery, or self hypnosis. And cutting the cords is something that is best done gradually. A lot of women financially aren't in a position because of what's happening with the economy, because of some of the experiences that people have had since contracting these different viruses going around, and a lot of people's body just is not functioning the way it used to. A lot of us are electromagnetically sensitive to all of this low megahertz energy that's pervading us now on the planet. And so because of that, a lot of us are having to find a way to continue to be in dynamics with people that we feel is actually not serving our highest purpose. And I watch a lot of videos where people are saying, if it's toxic, cut the cords, cut it off, be done with it. And it frustrates me because it's not that simple. If it's not a health concern or something going on with that or finances, it could just be that there are some lessons that you are supposed to learn from that relationship that you haven't learned yet. So if you just exit prematurely, you will attract someone who will bring that exact same energy back to you so that you can learn the lesson you did not previously learn. Of course, if we're in situations where there is violence, physical abuse, gaslighting, scapegoating, a lot of blaming, you know, if you're having that type of experience with anybody, whether it's one person or a group of people, because a lot of us are experiencing that with biological families, and you don't really even know what you did to deserve for them to speak to you certain ways and treat you certain ways and believe certain things about you and gossip about you. You don't even know. You're like, I'm really just trying to focus on what it's going to take for me to heal. But their perception of your journey is filtered through their unprocessed trauma. So they can't see you for who you really are. And this is the simulated reality that we exist in. All of us have holograms. Holograms are created by our perception, the meaning we assign to things that we're experiencing. You could literally be giving somebody advice to help them, and it's really coming from your heart. It's not coming from a judgmental space at all. But because of the energy that's here, the dark matter energy, the entities that are being brought over here through portals, okay, a lot of the stuff that's happening Because of that, it's like Charlie Brown. They can't hear what you're actually saying. They can't feel the purity of the emotions that you're broadcasting to them. And this can also be painful and confusing. If this is happening, it simply means you're having divine intervention and the illusions that have imprisoned you are falling away. And so people can't fake the funk anymore with you. And you can't lie to yourself no more. Some of the things that are about to happen in our world is going to change humanity forever. And those who have come to a point of feeling like they don't know who they are, they don't know how to fix their life. If you have come to that point, that's proof of who you authentically are, which is a curse breaker. If everybody in your life supported you, you would never learn to be sovereign. And you would continue to be codependent. If your mood is determined by how other people are feeling, how other people behave, how other people are treating you, guess what? That I divine self that you've been wanting to manifest, yeah, it's gonna no longer allow you to get from other people what it is that you think that you need. You're gonna lose your appetite for some things. There's certain conversations that you used to have, you're not gonna wanna have anymore because it's not feeding your soul. It's actually draining your energy. It's feeding your ego. So go back and watch the videos between 2020 and 2023 because I predicted so much of this, and me and my partner sat down every week and went live for hours teaching, doing ceremonies, fire pujas to help us purify. I created challenges, courses, chakra camps, a 3D matrix detox program. All of those things were motivated by what I noticed was ailing us, those of us who are here to ascend. A lot of those videos have been taken down, and I really don't want to give too much attention as to why, but just know that when someone is going against the current, when someone is truly giving keys to people who have been locked in this prison planet, in these loops that they have not been able to break, the 3D matrix is not going to support them with the algorithms. For over 3 years, I've been stuck at 13,000 subscribers, no matter how much content I create, no matter what I do. That used to discourage me. But now I realize that's proof of the accuracy of what I share. It wouldn't even make sense for the 3D matrix to support anything that Oracle energy is bringing to the collective. So I want you to use all of this free content I have given so much. And the reason we are no longer going live every week is because after thousands of videos and so much content, I was years ahead of what was actually going to be impacting us. And so it may resonate with you more now than it did in the past if you've been around. If you're new here, like, thank you for chiming in. I have no idea how you found me or noticed that I was on live this late at night, but this was a divine appointment for you. That's how fucking important you are. You matter. Don't let the chatter make you feel like you don't matter. Whether it's your own internal chatter or externally, I want you to remind yourself that you matter. Your feelings matter and they are valid. They may not always be true. They may not always be based in reality, but they're valid. Be to yourself what you have noticed others are not giving you. Because when we gather from other people energy we're not giving to ourselves, we become handicapped and we will become dependent on them to be a certain way to us. It doesn't always equate to a lack of love when there is mistreatment. Oftentimes, it is only equating to the level of trauma that you were in. You attracted people who had equal or more so that you could become the phoenix that rise from the ashes. Ashes are not created unless something is burned. If something is burning down, let it burn down and let that be your energetic petition to the universe that I am willing to let it go. It's one thing to want to be better. It's a total different thing to be willing to do what it takes to be better. And I guarantee you, whatever is happening in your life right now, no matter what it looked like, it is no less sacred than what you think should be happening in your life. We're being called to shift into sacred energy and detox ourselves from the scared energy. And those letters in those words are anagrams of one another. What was once perceived as evil is actually carrying a fundamental teaching of what it takes to truly live. Now, for those of you who may be new here, that may sound like something that doesn't make sense. But you'll see what I mean as you continue this journey. The reason I started tapping into my primordial essence, the dark feminine within me, and working with archetypal energies to help me step outside of my own perception was due to the challenges that I was going through. And I didn't know how to spiritually protect and defend myself while simultaneously opening my heart to the universe to receive what is being given to me. I didn't know how to do that. And I was tricked to believe that the nice girl is the one who becomes successful and is well loved and respected. Couldn't be the farthest thing from the truth. The woman who respects herself, the woman who isn't afraid to go against the grain, The woman who trusts herself, the woman who creates her own philosophy, discovers her own values, and places boundaries around them. She may not be likable, but as long as what she is doing is bringing more worth to herself, bringing confidence to herself, then that work is sacred. And the same goes for men, of course, because we both have masculine and feminine energies within us. We have a right hemisphere of our brain and a left, one being feminine and the left being masculine. The energy of Ma'at, represented in ancient Kemet, is the energy of balance, but guess what? It's also the energy of justice. And sometimes for you to receive justice, you have to tip the scales. You have to no longer allow yourself to be the sacrificial lamb for other people to feel better about themselves. And this doesn't mean that you go around making things more difficult than it has to be. This means that you get in touch with your own darkness, because it is the darkness that creates the spiritual protection. It is the darkness that creates the cocoon for the butterfly to be formed. It is the darkness that holds the seeds so that they can grow. Think about an oak tree. It starts off as a little bitty acorn, and that acorn sits in the soil of darkness long enough to become an oak tree. And I'm going to be speaking more about this moving ahead in a different way, but I noticed that we have what 1,500 people that have become members of New Verse Live, but very few people are opening their emails. Go back and check your emails. Check and see, is it going to the spam folder? Is it going to your promo folder? And move it so that it comes to your emails. You can check it. And I'm going to tell you, I know sometimes, because when you're really doing this work, checking your emails is the last thing on your mind. I get it. Sometimes you don't even feel like you have the energy to look through your emails. I get it. But just set an alarm and spend 5 to 10 minutes just going through your emails. That's spiritual as well. That's a routine that is going to ensure that you're receiving the messages being sent to you. A lot of us just aren't opening the messages. That is a reflection of what's happening spiritually. It's not that you're not getting the messages. Sometimes we're just too distracted and too overwhelmed to take the time to open them, to communicate, to receive the communication. Conflict right now is dangerous, potentially. If you aren't as emotional regulated as you would like to be, and you also have people in your life who are emotionally unstable, learning the skills of neutralizing situations, learning how to disarm people when they get into those energies, you can just feel it. You know, a lot of times we feel it before it pops off. Learning how to neutralize and disarm, learning how to disengage creates protection. Instead of trying to get people to behave in a way that makes you feel safe. If you are in this world right now where everything is happening, it's because you are equipped to overcome it. You wouldn't be here if you were not equipped to overcome it. Overcomers incarnated in this chaotic time where things are happening that have never happened on this planet like this before. So I want to let you know that you are not alone. Just because I'm on this side of the live stream doesn't mean that I'm not going through it. I'm not above it. And actually, when you decide to dedicate yourself to the upliftment of others, when you decide to buck the system, tell the truth that a lot of people may have a difficult time receiving because it's heretical, it's revolutionary, it's new, it's different. Sometimes you expose yourself and you become a targeted individual because you're standing on the front lines. Oftentimes things are hitting me a lot heavier than it would if I wasn't on the front lines. But this is a path that I chose, and it wouldn't even make sense for me to give up now. Y'all have been through too much to quit. Take a pause if you need to. Surrender. Let shit fall apart. If shit is falling apart and it seems that it requires your constant management of it to keep it together, you are simply betraying your own self. You're hurting yourself. Let it go. Wash your hands. Take your hands off of it. Trust the process. Learn to discern what you cannot control. Wherever your attention goes is where your life force energy flows. So if you no longer want to be a part of drama, remove your attention and the drama will begin to dissipate. So I want to thank y'all for just not giving up. I thank y'all because without y'all, without us doing this work, there would not be an ascension happening on this planet. You matter. And I'm telling you, if you feel like you've been at your wit's end, it simply means that you are about to begin again. This is the never-ending story of the wounded healers. You will never fully arrive. You will never fully be everything you think you're supposed to be, have everything you think you're supposed to have in this lifetime. Because if you did, what wisdom would you gain? If everything was always exactly the way that you want it to be, what type of character would you have? That doesn't build character. It doesn't build faith. And it doesn't teach us how to be brave. So just remember, when the mask, the illusions, the Maya is falling apart, go back and watch the videos where I explain to you the difference between the 1260 frequency created by the calendar and the 1320 lunar calendar. And this will help to make a lot of things make sense that did not previously make sense. When humans decided to distort time so that we would exchange our energy for wages, our time for money, it put us in a disharmonious frequency. And this is what we are shifting out of. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this. If you are not using your breath to assist you, to calm you, and to release the energy that you absorb throughout your lifetime, you are literally walking around filled up with pain, grief, rage, sadness, desperation, hopelessness, doubt. I want you to know that facing those emotions, establishing a tactical plan, things that you can do every day without having to spend any money, those things are going to separate you from the rest of the world. Our spiritual routines, our daily routines, the things that we do on repeat is what is going to determine what version of earth we experience. The second thing that I want to tell you, move the parts of your body that will help you to release stored emotions. This is called somatic work, somatic body work, working with the body. Don't ignore your back anymore when it's hurting. Stop ignoring your neck when it's hurting. Don't ignore the fact that your knees cracking and popping. Don't ignore tight hips. Don't ignore less flexibility. All of those things are communicating to you that there is an accumulation of tension and trauma that wants to be released. Dr. Peter Levine, if I'm not mistaken, has the book called The Body Keeps the Score. So listen to your body. You don't have to be perfect. Do the best that you can. I see so many yoga videos and it can be discouraging because a lot of us have a hard time just getting up out of bed and starting our day and getting stuff done because the 3D matrix has lost its luster. It's just nothing about it that is exciting to us anymore. And sometimes that can lead to getting stuck in discontentment. A lot of us are having dark nights of the souls. We are dealing with depression. We are having spiritual emergencies. If you don't know what that is, you can search it or just go to the website, click on blogs, and type in spiritual emergency. It's very similar to an existential crisis. And so if this is you and if that's happening, or if you find yourself feeling anxiety, if you find yourself breathing shallow breaths with your chest instead of your stomach, if you find that your body, is feeling a certain way, we were lied to and we were told that it's because we're aging. It's not because we're aging. Okay. I know that y'all are noticing that a lot of people with certain levels of wokeness aren't aging anymore. That's another lie. None of this happens because you're aging. Your body has simply kept a score and it's giving you notifications and alerts, warning you so that you can make adjustments. So start simple. You may not be able to keep up the routine every day, but just start. Don't let the fact that you start stuff and don't finish it be a reason that you don't start. And if you start and you stop, just start again. Keep getting up. Every time you get knocked down, get back up. This is the resilience, especially of people who are Generation X. Something very special about us. And I want you to pay attention to the X. The eclipse 2017 and the eclipse of 2024 created an X across the United States. This was pointing to this massive ascension process that was going to occur. The X also represents the female chromosome. This means that feminine energy, learning what that is, What does it look like when it's scared, and what does it look like when it's sacred? And learning how to cultivate feminine energy that's sacred. That's the X. A lot of us need that. A lot of men have either been under mothered or over mothered, and they're starting to experience the effects of that. The X also symbolizes the X class solar flares. We were not named Generation X for no reason. And I know a lot of the people that follow me are from Generation X. Y'all, we survived so much shit that was meant to kill us, and we survived. It's no coincidence that Twitter name was changed to X. It's no coincidence that during Betelgeuse, the supernova star that was supposed to have died seems to be resurrecting itself. It is behaving in ways that stars do not behave. It is no coincidence that DMX healed years of substance abuse, started working with plants, having a greenhouse, successfully growing orchids and keeping them alive. Orchid is a spiritual plant. Look up the meaning of orchids. It is no coincidence. And I did the decoding about DMX transition. That's available on Patreon. I spent 4.5, almost 5 hours decoding this man's life, the archetypal energies, the numerology of his life, and the lessons his life and death was teaching us. It is no coincidence that across his throat chakra, he had Exodus tattooed on him. Exodus represents a migration from one thing to the other. And it's so much more that I could talk about that, but that's on Patreon on every tier. So I want y'all to hang on to this energy that you're receiving now. You're gonna need this. You're gonna need this. If you continue doing the best that you can, in about 6 months, when we have another huge world breakdown, in about 6 months, you're gonna be one of the calmest, most intuitive, safest people on this planet. So do not give up. Just let the cards fall where they may. I appreciate y'all. I love you too, Glass Moon 219. Peace Tunes, I see you in here. I'm sitting in the dark meditating, so I wasn't looking at my chat, but I appreciate y'all so much. And I spent a lot of time crying because I know that what comes through me from the Akashic record is transformational, and I know that it is the remedy to so many things that has followed us through many generations. And I'm sometimes saddened that enough people are not getting this information. So if you could help me by sharing my videos, it doesn't matter whether or not you think people are going to listen or pay attention. If you have a YouTube channel or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, like, you have permission to mirror my videos, take clips and share them. You don't always have to be the messenger. Sometimes just sharing the message from the messenger that is also a form of paying it forward. And even if you just touch one person, you have made an investment in creating the high frequency consciousness based in love. And that's important, because I know a lot of y'all don't want to step out in the front and do videos, and it It is challenging and it takes a lot of courage to do this, but there's still a lot that you can do. And for those of you who have had readings with me or participated in some of our group meditations and ceremonies, you know, revisit those. That's why I'm keeping them in the vault on Patreon to revisit. It doesn't lose its power because time has went by. And again, because I am a Sybil, oftentimes what I'm sharing is 5 to 10 years ahead of what people are really ready to receive. So it's timeless information, and it's because I'm a white galactic wizard. That's my galactic signature. So a lot of what I teach is timeless. So go back and tap in and sit with that. If you need to purify yourself, there are fire purification ceremonies on Patreon as well. Just scroll back until you get to what you need. Like, utilize these tools. I want y'all to be ready. And I will talk more about some specifics as to what's about to occur so that you can be prepared for it. But due to the heavy censorship, I can no longer do what I used to do on this channel. So become an NVIP, you know, and just remember, it's always darkest before dawn. And this is a new dawn. And I don't care what in your reality, because within the word reality is real lie. Don't believe the lies. Okay? You allow your heart to be your compass and guide you. And I just want to let you know that rock bottom is the meeting place for your I divine self. You don't meet your I divine self when you're at your peak. Your I divine self is high vibrational enough and evolved enough to sit at rock bottom and meet you there. Stay tuned because I'm putting a course together. It is a self-hypnosis course to heal the mind, the body, and the soul. And I'm putting this together where you won't need to spend no more than 30 to 60 minutes a day. And I'm working feverishly to put everything possible that I can in this, but this course is going to be released in phases, unlike past courses, because we really do need to dial it back, try to move slower when possible, take it easy, learn how to live without resistance, and just slow down. Stop moving so fast. You know, sometimes you have to, but carve out time to slow down, carve out time to not have to think about something, be constantly trying to fix problems and find solutions. That's what's driving people to insanity. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. It's much more. I always got a lot of things that I'm offering at one time. But those are some of the things that I wanted to make known to y'all. I'm also putting a retreat together. Bear with me for those of you who have asked me to save a space for you for the retreat. I am still organizing that. And so just stay tuned. I will give some updates, whatever spaces may be left, because there are some people who have already received a space for the retreat. But if that's something that interests you and you are a woman, you can book a discovery call. It's free. And me and my sacred sister are going to sit with you for 30 minutes and go over some really deep stuff so that we can curate the retreat to fit the needs, desires, and goals of everyone that participates. And also, that mother tongue light language activation I uploaded here on YouTube was just a short portion of the full thing. That's available on all tiers on Patreon as well. Tap into that. Tap into that. If it's something sitting inside of you that is blocking you from reaching your highest potential, it's going to pull it out. It's going to pull it up. Okay? I'm talking about pulling up roots. So I will be doing more of those as I'm instructed to do these. And there is also a new meditation process that I have discovered that helps you to open new timelines. I'm going to be releasing that soon. So just stay tuned because we ain't came this far to quit. And if I don't do nothing else, I'm going to make sure that I make this life count because I did not come back from death twice to give up and let the 3D matrix whoop my ass and make me feel like I'm nothing and I'm a victim to my circumstances. I refuse. And I want you to also carry that same energy. Refuse to give up. Don't let nobody break your spirit. And if your spirit has been broken, this was the divine call for you to get back on track. I love y'all. Namaste, Namaste. One love. Ashe.